If you are a resident and you find yourself in the middle of an emergency, or you want to prepare for an emergency, what are some things that you should do? I'm Steve Rosenberg with Mynd Property Management, and today I'm joined with Dan Hines, who is our regional director for Mynd in the Sacramento area. Dan, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
So Dan, if I live in a property, whether it's a Mynd property or any other property, what are some things that I should think about and I should prepare for an emergency?
Yeah, so make a plan ahead of time, have your ducks in order. It's a fantastic idea to carry a renter's insurance policy.
Yeah.
Make sure you're really in tune with what that covers. Is there earthquake coverage? How much personal property is covered? And past that, think through what could go wrong and try to have a plan for that stuff. Know where your shutoff valves are, know where your exits are. The last thing you want is to be in a situation where you're trying to figure that stuff out while something's going wrong,
Yeah. Also, I've always told our residents that, maybe have a place where all your important documentation, whether it's in a fire waterproof safe or it's online in the cloud, so that if you cannot get back to your property, you are able to get access to the documentation, meaning your insurance policies and all the other things that if you can't get to the house, can you still get to the information? And that kind of goes along with your pre-planning of having some sort of system that maybe whenever you get a policy, maybe you scan it and keep it on some type of Google or cloud-based service so that you can access it. You mentioned
for stuff like policies, and sorry to jump in there. I'm a huge fan of the cloud. Throw it all in a folder, know exactly what it is so you don't have to search, especially during the heat of an issue.
Yeah. Now, as far as like you'd mentioned shutoff valves, what kind of shutoff valves in particular would you recommend people know about?
Yeah, so if you live in a single family home, there's typically one main shutoff valve that will disconnect you from the main. So, whether you have a broken pipe or, some sort of a valve issue, if you hit this main, the main shutoff valve, it'll effectively kill the water in the whole property.
And that's for water, correct?
That's for water.
Okay.
If you have natural gas, there's also a gas line, but then also at the source. So if you have a gas range, for example, there's a shutoff valve at the wall, right? And it's good to know if that's, if something breaks on a burner, knowing that you can turn off the actual gas supply at the wall very quickly. That's a great thing to know. And I've seen entire homes flood from a broken valve at the wall of the base of a toilet. It seems like not a whole lot of water comes out of that at one time, but you let that thing run for a day over a weekend. If you're not home, it'll flood an entire house.
Right. Okay. So maybe a good idea before an emergency could happen, maybe when you move into a property, possibly look and see where are all the shutoff valves. And as you said, make sure that you have copies of all your documentation, meaning your lease agreement, your insurance policies, maybe any documentation. As you said, scan it, save it into a folder in the cloud. That way you can always access it. Knowing where your exits are.
Know where your breakers are. Do you need to control power to the entire property? If you live in a small multifamily property, and maybe there's not an on-site representative that lives there, it's definitely reasonable to ask your landlord, where are some of these things? Can you walk me through in the event of, issue 1, 2, or 3? How can I be prepared to operate? Those are great questions to ask ahead of time. And at that point, I'd say know the pecking order. Sometimes it makes sense. If something's happening, pick up the phone, call your landlord, put in the service request. But if you have an active emergency, active fire, active, some sort of natural disaster, calling your property management company and going through their, phone line, their phone tree, that's probably not the right first call.
Sure.
You definitely want to know that plan ahead of time.
Absolutely. Well, that's great information. And for those of you that would like to know more, you can go to our website at mynd.co. It's mynd.co, where we have properties for rent as well as knowledge information to help you out. If you'd like to talk to Dan directly and learn a little bit more about the Sacramento area, you can look him up online at our Mynd in our regional area for Sacramento. On behalf of Dan, myself, and Mynd Property Management, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group.